y'all? It's your boy Chris.
And Chelsea.
And this is Chris and Chelsea.
So guys, welcome back to, I'm saying welcome back. This is our first time doing a session like this. I guess you'd call it a session. But I was thinking to call it like cocktails with Chris and Chelsea. Do y'all like that? Let me know if y'all like that. We don't have no cocktails right now, but next time we will maybe. If y'all like that, just let us know. So guys, I know in our intro video we mentioned that my husband is transgender. We did say that we would give you all a video just answering some of the questions, giving a little backstory on his transition. So without further ado, this is that video.
Yep. So Chelsea's gonna be asking me some questions that people typically ask me once they find out that I am transgender, or that people generally ask other people that are transgender. So yeah, and I'm gonna answer those questions as best that I can based off my personal opinion. And yeah.
And guys, as you can see, Cody wants some camera time, so Cody is here sitting on Chris' lap in our face, wanting to figure out what we're doing. So
and who we talking to.
Right. So, you ready to get started?
Yeah.
Okay. The first question I have is, what is a trans man, or what does it mean to be transgender?
So, in my opinion, from like my point of view, transgender just means that you are the opposite of what you were born as. So I was born as a female, so I mentally and on the inside just felt like I was not a woman. So to be transgender, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've begun to transition as far as physically. It could be a mindset, or some people start their journey off by just saying, okay, I am this person. Please address me as X, Y, and Z, or he, she. I mean, he, him, his, or her, she, hers. So it's about a mindset first, to me anyway.
I mean, no, I think that was a good point of saying that it's about a mindset, because I think that, I don't know of anyone else that's transgender, but I would think that that's where it would start, like within yourself first, and then your close family and friends also getting into their mindset, because I feel like that helps people not necessarily take you serious, but like if I said, oh, I want to be a makeup artist, and then my husband is supporting me saying, oh, you're going to be a makeup artist, or you are a makeup artist. Like I feel like if you have that support of your family and friends, and make it that much more real for people who don't know you. You get what I'm saying? Like they can't come and question where you got all this support.
Like
right. Yeah, it's like a reference. Like, right. That was a good, that's a good way to put it. That's a great way to put it. All right, my next question. What was your birth name, and what is your name now?
My birth name was Passion Genora. My name now is Chris Logan.
Why you shake your head? You didn't like Passion?
It
was just too girly?
It didn't fit. It didn't fit me on the inside. Outside maybe, but definitely not on the inside. Like it was times where I really would forget that was who I was. Like people would call, say Passion, just to say, hey, da da da, and I wouldn't respond because I didn't think, it just would be like, who is that? Like, I just never felt that was me. So
with that being said, that was a good kind of segue, if you will, into my next question. Where did your transition start? So not like, because what I'm hearing you say is that you knew you wanted to transition way before you actually transitioned.
Yeah,
so when did your transition actually, like when did it mentally start, and when did it physically start?
All right, so mentally it started as long as I can remember. I don't know, I was young, like younger than 10 for sure. Like I used to have dreams that I would wake up in the body that I desired to have. Like it's weird because I just used to have the dreams and I never would say anything to anybody about it. Like I used to wake up having dreams that I was a guy. And you know, at that time I was young, so I was a young boy. Like I wake up, go to the bathroom, and I'm standing facing the toilet, and my dream, I'll be like, oh yeah, this real? Like, I was excited, but then like I would realize it's a dream, you know? But yeah, like ever since I can remember, like I just knew that that's who I was. But in the society, like when I grew up, like in that era, I didn't know anybody that was transgender, right, let alone homosexual.
Right.
So it was just like, I can't say nothing. It was just frowned upon.
Yeah, it was such frowned upon when we were growing up. Not necessarily once we got to high school, but growing up from elementary to even
you weren't taught about those things. And then if anybody knew anyone that was homosexual, you would hear other people talk about, you know, that being, you know, a sin, or that being, oh, that's nasty, or, you know, stuff like that. And I'm like, I definitely can't say nothing. If they think homosexuality is
what they gonna think of me down,
what are they gonna think of me, you know, expressing that I'm a guy, I'm not who they keep seeing me as, you know what I'm saying? So it took me a while before I came out. I didn't come out as transgender until I was like 20, I don't know, maybe I'm 28
I'm sorry,
now.
guys. Cody just...
I'm 28 now, so maybe like 23, like maybe 23. I actually came out to my wife and told her, and she was the first person I told. And the only person I had told for a long time, for like maybe 2 years. But I was doing so much research before I came out, and I was just like, I just got to say it, you know, out loud to somebody for it to be real, you know.
I mean, sometimes that's just enough validation for yourself.
It took a lot of courage because at that point, I still didn't know anybody that was transgender. I mean, I've heard about it, but it was no information really out there. So I had to do a lot of searching and stuff like that, and a lot of the information that was out there wasn't all positive. So it was just like kind of discouraging information that was out there, at least, you know, that I could find. So yeah, it took a long time for me to come out. A long time. Oh, I began my transition at 25.
Sorry, guys.
Physically. So July of 2017.
So it's been
almost 3 years.
Next month will be 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
Wow. It don't even seem like it's been that long. Wow. So my next question is, well, you kind of answered it because my next question was, what age were you when you realized you wanted to be a male? So I guess we'll skip to the next one. So the next question is, what was the scariest part about your transition? I mean, like the whole overall process.
I would say the scariest part of my transition, and I don't know why it was so scary for me, but it was the scariest part of like coming out to my job, because the research that I was doing, you know, I wanted to know how people came out and told their jobs, like what do you put on your resume and stuff like that. So a lot of people that were making videos or talking about, like blogging about it, a lot of them were at the point where they were actually doing job interviews, so they didn't already have an existing job. So I had already been with this company for a year, not even a whole year, I don't think. I think it was a year and a month or something like that before I, you know, came out to my job. But it was like, how do I come out to my job and say, hey, going forward, I need everybody to address me as he, or, you know, everybody needs to address me as Chris. Like, how did that? It was terrifying because I didn't want to lose my job because of discrimination. I didn't want them to find,
because jobs would definitely do that, and they would find another reason. Right. You know, that's definitely true.
So
I think
it was terrifying because I'm like, I have to make a living. I have to, you know, maintain. And if I can't transition well at my current position in the corporate world, how am I going to, you know, apply and get a job somewhere else and say, hey, I am Chris, I am he, but my birth certificate still says she? and everything else about me still says she. So it's like, how do I even get my foot in the door being transgender? And I would have to say that that's what I am going in, because paperwork wouldn't align with what I'm saying. So it's like, who wants to hire somebody that they, you know, that was definitely the most terrifying for me. Like, even doing research, a lot of people that are transgender, they get scared of the surgery part, because some people, you know, don't like surgery and stuff like that. None of that terrifies me. It just was, how will I make a living? How can I keep my same job? Like, how will this play out in the real world as far as finances? So yeah, that was definitely terrifying.
I mean, I can definitely see why that would be terrifying, just because I personally know of people who have lost their job because of their sexuality. And of course, a job would never come out and say, hey, we're going to get rid of you because you're gay, or hey, we're going to get rid of you because of XYZ. Anything that has to do with sexual orientation, or anything that they can be liable for or sued for, but they will like find other reasons to be like, oh, well, you were late, or this and that. So I mean, although I don't know what that is like, I can only imagine like how that was.
I mean, bad enough when I got hired, they knew I was gay based off how I dressed. Like, I dressed exactly how I dress now, so it was no surprise as far as that part went. But nobody really mentioned anything. Nobody talked about anything, which was perfect. And then I had a desk job, so it was like I greeted all of our clientele and stuff like that. So they all knew me so well. And as I started transitioning and saying, okay, I'm Chris, and they were like, hey, Passion. I'm like, it's Chris. It's like, how do you explain that to customers? People that, you know, that's bringing business in, you know. And then I'm black. So that was something different. It was just like, it's just so many things that's scary about this situation. It's like, how do I, like, is it, you know, will I survive this? And it's like, I know it. I mean, somebody will hire me, but I wasn't trying to settle on, you know, something that I wasn't enjoying. Like, I love my job and I didn't want to leave at that time. So it's like, how do I get around this? But I was just like, I gotta do it. This is who I am. I can't just keep living my life in fear. So it worked out.
Good answer. Good answer. All right, so the next question is, what was the process of changing your name legally?
So for the state of Maryland, at least in my situation, I had to have a letter from my doctor or endocrinologist.
I'm sorry, Cody is so annoying.
So I had to have a letter from my doctor, basically stating that I'm transgender, and, you know, that I was, basically, my doctor had to basically let the court know that, hey, I am his doctor and I am overseeing his hormone replacement therapy. That was basically, you know, it. I needed to have a letter from my doctor, and I needed to...
I'm your doctor?
I was counting. A letter from my doctor. It was like $145 fee, like name change fee.
Yeah, it wasn't as expensive as I thought it was going to be. I don't know why. I never thought to change my name, but I just thought changing your name was going to be like an expensive thing. Like, it was going to be hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, I guess because people just say it's so hard. I mean, it was a long process, but it wasn't difficult. Like, I went to the courthouse. I gave them my letter.
Did you have to do like an application or something? It
was an application I had to fill out, and I had to, once I submitted the application, I had to basically approve that, approve for them to put my name change request in a newspaper, like a local newspaper. So it had to be in a newspaper for 7 days straight.
Really? And only 7 days?
7 days straight.
I don't know why I thought it was like 3 weeks.
I think it was just 7 days.
Really?
I don't know.
Oh, we'll find out and let y'all know.
But whatever case, I had to let it run in a newspaper, like a local newspaper, consistently, without anybody objecting to my name change. So, which is weird, because I don't see why anybody would object to somebody changing their name that has nothing to do with them, but...
You'd be surprised.
Right. So I had to let it run in the newspaper. They sent me a copy, you know, a little copy of the section in the newspaper, just basically saying, okay, yes, you did pay for this to be put in the newspaper. It is in the newspaper and stuff like that. And then I had to wait for the approval. In some states, you actually have to go before a judge, like in court.
Maryland is one of those states, right?
They just sent me a letter like maybe a month late. No, because I filled it out in December. I filled the application out in December, and I got the approval letter the 27th of February. So about 2 months, I got the approval. It was just a letter, like, and the judge wrote, you know, filled in some of the blanks, like wrote that, you know, I think it was a lady, she approved it, and then she put her signature on it, and basically saying, you know, we approved this name change, it's court ordered. So that was all I needed. Yeah, from there, I just had to go to the Social Security Department first. And then that was really all the NBA needed, or DMV, whatever you guys call it. Yeah, that's all they needed to do my name change, but I had to wait 24 hours for the system to update. But that was pretty much it. Then I got a new birth certificate.
I know, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
I never knew that's how that worked. I mean, because I never knew anyone that was transgender, so I never knew, like, this was a learning experience for me too, because I just never knew, and I probably would have never looked into it, probably would have never, you know, anything. So I didn't know. I don't know why I thought that the birth certificate would be like
an addendum.
Like an addendum, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I was thinking too. They gave me a brand new birth certificate. Like
if someone,
it just said it doesn't say anything about female. It doesn't say anything about passion. It doesn't say anything. It just says what my name is now,
which is sex
and
now.
Male. Like, it just says, you know, normal stuff. It just has.
It looks like if someone,
it looks like I was born
right
as a male. So
right, I was
looking at
no
my
one
birth certificate,
you.
you wouldn't know that I was transgender.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing though.
Yeah.
I feel like that saves some of the questions. Like, let's say you did leave your job and you went to the next job and you have to show your social security card and your birth certificate. Yep. Like, that eliminates that room for questioning, because walking out in the street nowadays, nobody would know that you're transgender unless you say something.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but one issue I did run into throughout that process was the NBA. Oh. I guess it wasn't common there either, because they did not want to change my name. They didn't want to. They didn't want to change my name or my gender marker. 3 or 4 times. So yeah, they didn't want to change my name or my gender marker, and it kind of frustrated me, because I just felt like every time I come back, y'all keep saying, okay, I have to see a manager, or we can't do it right now, or we're about to close, so, you know, we'll just put you, you know, at the top of the list to come back tomorrow. And I'm like, luckily at that time, my job was, I could walk there, so I could go back on my lunch break and stuff, you know, and stuff. But it was frustrating, because they kept turning me away, saying that they didn't have the authority to do it, and the customer service that I called kept saying, no, they do. I faxed something over saying that they have to. It was a lot.
It was
like,
definitely
it took maybe a good 2 weeks. Like, I went back like 2 or 3 times after the first time that I went. So it was frustrating, because at that point, I think I wanted to give up, because it was just like, if I can't get my ID changed, what am I doing this for? Like, I can't keep walking around with passion in my wallet, showing people, hey, you know, I'm going to start changing, and if I can't get my ID to change, then who's going, like, I'm going to get, you know, in trouble. Like, if I go to the bar, bad enough, I get carded. So it's like, I get carded, and they look at my ID, they look at me, and I'm saying I'm a male, or I'm appearing as a male, and they see a woman. So it's like, whose ID did you steal, and why are you using this ID? So it was frustrating. Definitely frustrating. Yeah.
You ready for the next question?
Yeah.
All right. The next question says, what did it feel like for you identifying as a male and others identifying you as a female? So I guess, like, this question was more so when you started transitioning, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know all the terms and everything as I should, I guess. But what is it called when, like, you are when you are, you know,
Misgendered?
no, not, I don't know if misgendered is a word. It's another word that you would use. Like when you are, like if, like you're in the process, like before you had all your facial hair and I was identifying you as male, but then someone else, like for someone else to identify you as a male. What is it called?
I mean, it's still misgender and they just not using the right pronouns. But it's, I mean, at that point, I mean, if people don't know, they don't know. But the best that you can do.
Passing. That's what I'm talking about. Passing.
Okay, yeah. So, you said, what did it feel like?
Yeah, so what did it feel like for you knowing that you and the inside are a man, at home you identify as a man, your job identifies you as a man, but when you go out in public, you're still getting ma'am or she or how did that feel?
That was definitely hard because I feel like, I mean, understand this, everybody's transition is different. Just like people that aren't transgender, their puberty hits at a different time. Everybody, you know, some guys get facial hair at freaking 14. Some guys get facial hair when they turn 20 something. So it's different. Some women don't grow, you know, develop until they're older. Some of them develop at 9, 10, 11. So you have to think of transitioning the same exact way. No transition is exactly the same. So it was kind of hard watching people's transition on YouTube and, you know, all across the internet and stuff, and watching them have all of these changes and start to pass. And when I say pass, that means passing as a man. So people will look at me and see a man. Right now, if you look at me, you see a man, no question. But before I grew facial hair, before my voice started changing, I still look like a woman. I look like a dominant lesbian. So people just assumed that I was a lesbian. So it was definitely tough before I started growing facial hair and before my voice changed. It took a while before I got facial hair. Like, it took a long time before I got any facial hair. And I'm still struggling to grow a mustache, but it's different. I mean, once I started, like, people would see me in public and just assume that I was a man, I felt great. Like, I started feeling better about myself. Because before then, everything was ma'am, 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 and I'm like, man. Like, it was hard. And then, depending on which environments you're in or what type of people you are around when you're out in public, people address you based off what they observe, like your surroundings. So if I'm around a lot of my lesbian friends, then they assume that I was, you know, at that time they assumed I was a lesbian too. Right. So I was a ma'am, but if it's just me and her, they assume that I'm a man. So it was kind of a tough thing. It was like I hadn't hit puberty yet. So I don't even remember how long it took before my voice started changing. I think just a couple of months.
Yeah, I don't think it was long before your voice started changing. And we'll probably put some videos at the end so you all can, you know, just see the difference and the progression and stuff. That's probably what
it was tough before I started passing because I was misgendered a lot because people didn't know. You know, people assume, like, when you look at somebody, you just automatically, you know, judge or assume.
And I think that's like,
it's a natural
thing.
Yeah.
But I think because of today's society that we're in, people have to make a decision to just be more conscious and aware of that, because you don't know somebody just by looking at them. You know, like, had we not said anything, you all probably would have never known that he's transgender. So it's like, you cannot judge a book by its cover. And granted, it is harder, easier said than done, but it's definitely doable. You ready for your next question? What is your favorite change about yourself since you started your transition?
I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite. If I had to pick, I would probably say my chin hair.
Really?
I think so. Yeah. Other than that, I love every change, but that will probably be my favorite. Yeah, I think so.
All right, you ready for your next question?
Yeah.
If you can change anything about your transition, what would you change?
I probably wouldn't change anything about it. I would change when I started. I probably would have come out to my mom when I was younger. At least that way, while my classmates, were hitting puberty, I would have hit puberty as well, as far as, started developing, my voice would start getting deeper, my facial hair, my body hair, would start growing it, coming in and stuff like that. I probably would have got a little taller. Yeah, I definitely think that if I could go back, I would definitely have started a lot sooner. Definitely before I hit 18. I would definitely beg my mom to, have me start, physically transition.
Speaking of moms, what was your family's reaction? Oh, how did you, let me rephrase that. How did you expect them to react opposed to how did they really react? Like, did you get the reaction that you wanted from everybody, from your family, from your job, from me? Like, did you get the reaction that you wanted or were expecting?
That's a good question. I mean, I was expecting the worst. I was expecting to be basically disowned by everybody.
Even me?
Before I told you, yeah. I was expecting to be left alone. Because, like I said, nobody knew about that stuff. So it was like, it was hard for me to come out as being, I had to come out as being, a lesbian at that time, because I was like, let me test the waters and see how people react, how my family reacts to me, changing in their eyes anyway. So I'm like, let me test the waters. And, it was okay back then. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, coming out as lesbian. But then I'm like, okay, if they reacted, a little funny, then how are they going to react when I say, look, Mom, I'm not your son. I'm not your daughter. I'm your son. Or, hey, telling my sister, hey, I'm your brother. Like, coming out to my girlfriend and saying, hey, I'm your boyfriend. Like, how I was expecting the worst. But
that actually makes me feel sad.
Everybody really shocked me. Like, everybody shocked me. I had an abundance of support, which is something that probably about 8 out of 10 people that I've watched their transition on YouTube or, on Instagram and stuff like that, about 80% of the people that I watched had negative reactions and lost a lot of people because of, just them coming out, even physical transition. So I was terrified. That's what it took me so long to say anything, because I'm like, how is this going to affect, like, I don't want to be alone. But I just got to a point where I started hating myself as, my physical appearance. I'm like, I can't keep living as passion. I really can't. So I was just like, I got to suck it up. I got to say something. And when I came out, I told my wife, I told my mom, my sister, and I was so nervous. And they were just like, excited for me and was pushing me to start my transition a lot sooner than I was mentally preparing myself for. Because I was just like, okay, let's see how this goes with coming out. And then I'll decide, okay, if they react bad, then I'll just push it out some. But they reacted like so great. It was a blessing. Like, I literally cried after, I got that acceptance, because it was like, this is hard. Because these are the people that I love the most and want around me. And it's just like, how did they still, but I was foolish to think that they wouldn't support me. I'm still the same person, so.
I think I'm actually sad that you felt that way.
Sad?
Yeah, because I feel like I try so hard not to judge people. And like I said, it's easier said than done, but I've always tried so hard not to judge people because, like I said, you cannot judge a book by its cover. And just me personally in my life, I know I've done things that my parents might have not been happy with, or, you know, my siblings may have not been happy with, or hell, even my husband may not have been happy with. But at the end of the day, I try to do what makes me happy. And so I try to not judge people because you never know why someone is doing something. You never know why someone may cut their hair. You never know why someone may go from blonde hair to pink hair. You never know why someone may want to get a cosmetic surgery. Like, you never know what people are dealing with, what people are going through, what genuinely makes them happy. Because you can see a person grow up in this, what people will call the good life, or a Christian life, or anything like that, and not be a product of their environment, and are so scared to say something because, you know, the people who raised them aren't like that, or, you know, they feel like their parents had this high expectation of them, or they don't want to let their parents down, because that was me for a long time. So I try so hard not to judge people. And like I said, it's easier said than done, but I always feel like as long as you're happy, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, no one is hurting you, then do what makes you happy. I don't care if you were to say you wanted to somehow become a horse. We would have made it work. I don't know how, but we would have made it work or something. So I'm a little sad that you felt that way, but I'm happy that you got the reaction that you did.
Yeah, I mean, overall, in my opinion, when you're happy, I feel like you make those around you happier, because you are being your best self.
Yeah. And
you're happy with yours, so you can't, in my opinion, you can't be happy with somebody if you're not happy with yourself.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you being sad, you kind of like sabotaging your environment, your relationships, your life in general, like, because you're not happy with yourself, so you just doing whatever, you know, just to get by. But yeah, no, I was terrified, but I got an abundance of support from not just my family, my friends, my wife, my job. Like, when I came out to my job,
yeah, you did get a lot.
They immediately changed my email address. They changed my information in the directory. They changed the name on my phone. Everything changed immediately, and everybody started calling me Chris with no questions asked. Like, nobody asked any questions, and it was hardly any slip-ups. And I think it was easier for them to not slip up and call me Passion, because they didn't know me that long. So I think it was harder. It was the hardest for my family and friends to keep calling me Chris.
Oh yeah, that was definitely
tough.
hard.
It was tough for me, like, at first, but I had to be understanding that, you know, it's not that simple to just flip a switch and say, this is what, you know, this is.
I mean, especially
that's just like saying, for the longest, you know, on a broom to be a broom, but just all of a sudden, it's like, okay, this is a mop.
Right.
I'm not saying that I'm a mop, but it's not that simple for you to know something as one thing for years. Yeah. To just up and just change. I mean, that's just like when people get married, they change their last name. People slip up and call them by their maiden name.
I still get called by my maiden name.
But you have to respect that this person got married, this person has a new name. So when I talk to, like, in the beginning, like, I would tell my family, just think of it as if I just got married and changed my last name. Except you're just calling me, you know, a whole new first name. Like, I just had to put it in that perspective, because respectively, that is my name. By law, there's this, you know, it's my name. So, you know, I expect you to call me by my respective name. Yeah, it was definitely tough for a lot of people. Like, even still to this day, some people, like, if I haven't spoken to them in a long time and they see me, they be like, hey, Passion. And I'm just like, Chris, yeah. So I don't disrespectfully correct people. You know, I just try to be as respectful as possible and, you know, let them know I am Chris. Like, because, I mean, I feel like once I tell you who I am and you purposely call me Passion, then I feel like you disrespectful. Yeah. You know, you disrespecting me, and I really don't, you know, want to be involved with that. So
yeah, just 2 more questions.
Okay.
This one was just a random question that I just came up with. How did you come up with the name Chris? Out of all the names in the world you could have chosen, how did you come up with Chris?
Alright, so I didn't really come up with Chris. It took a while for me to find a name. I mean, it's hard. It's just like picking baby names. Actually what I was thinking of it as. I'm like, what do I look like? Like, what name do I look like? If I wasn't passionate, what would my name be? What should it be? I went through
so many names.
Different names. I think one name was Peyton.
Yeah, because we were trying to find something that started with
at first I wanted to keep my same initials, and I was like, nah, I'm sick of it. So I went through Peyton.
I actually like Peyton.
Jeremiah. Bryce. I think that was it. And then I was just like,
those were the ones that kind of like stuck for a while.
Yeah, for a while, I like just before I decided on Chris, Bryce was really gonna be my name.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I just want something simple, like something cool, like Chris. And then Chelsea was like, why not Chris? And I was just like, it's set then. No more thinking, it's Chris.
That was it.
Yeah,
it was a wrap. It was Chris.
And I always knew that. I always wanted my middle name to be Logan. Like once I kind of was like, okay, I think I want Logan to be my middle name. I mean, at first it was gonna be like I wanted it to be Peyton Jeremiah because I wanted to keep the same initials. But I was like, I just want to start fresh, something new. So, Chris Logan.
I like Chris.
Yeah.
And simple. Logan. It's just so weird because like people always think your name is Christopher, Christian, and
something.
Just Chris.
Yeah, it's just Chris.
Just Chris.
Simple.
Straight to the point.
5 letters.
Just like you, because you're so simple.
Straight to the point.
Yeah.
Except my last name.
I know that long ass last name. Y'all, before we got married, a little side note. Before we got married, my last name was 3 letters. Now my last name is what, 8 letters? 7, 8?
8.
All right, you ready? This is the last question.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who is wanting to transition from one sex to another, but may be a little fearful or shameful or doubting themselves? Or what advice would you give to someone?
The best advice that I can give, that I wish someone had given me or someone was around to give me, be yourself. Do what makes you happy. Live for yourself. And if what you feel does not match what is going on and what you're acting on, don't do it. Do what you feel. You know, follow your heart. And I know people say that, but in this situation, follow your heart. Like, do what's going to make you happy, because otherwise you're going to keep feeling like you don't have a reason to really do anything. You're not going to have any regrets. You're not going to think of anything. You're not going to have a purpose to what you're doing. You know, you're living. You're just going to feel like you really don't have a purpose. And that's from personal experience. Just like, what am I doing all this for? If I'm not living for me, I'm not doing what makes me happy. And once you get to the point where it's just like, I have to only see myself in this equation, like, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want my outcome to be? And it's still an ongoing thing for me. Like, I'm very happy now. And it's just like, I feel like I'm about halfway through. Because I'm still not 100% where I want to be as far as my transition goes. But I'm so thankful that I started. And I'm so happy and proud of myself that I actually finally said those words out loud. I am transitioned. I am a man. You know, for the longest time, everything was just in a private browser. Literally, like, if I would do any research, it was in the private browser on my phone, because I didn't want nobody to know. I was afraid of what people were going to say, what they were going to think. Did they think I was weird? Like, what? You know, I had no idea, because I've never had these conversations with any of my friends about anybody being transgender. And then in that era, anytime anyone spoke of people being transgender, it was always male to female.
Oh, well, that too. Yeah.
It was always male to female, and they always said tranny, and that is very offensive.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking when I said frowned upon.
I'm thankful that I haven't been offended in that manner, as far as, you know, anybody calling me anything derogatory. But yeah, definitely, I was afraid, but don't be afraid. Find somebody, find a support system. That's the second piece of advice. Find a good support system, even if it's just one person.
Yeah, and support system doesn't always have to be family.
Yeah,
sometimes it's not family. Sometimes it can be someone that you have randomly met. It can be a coworker. It can be a new friend. It doesn't have to be someone that you've known for years.
100%, you need a support system. Like, because otherwise you're going to get to a point where you want to give up because things aren't happening fast enough or the way that you want it to happen. But there's always going to be that one person on the sidelines cheering you on. Keep going, pushing you to make sure that you are achieving your goals. And, you know, transitioning is a goal, because you are trying to be who you always dreamt of being, who you always felt you were, but your outside didn't match, you know, what was on the inside. So it's just a goal. Like, just be who you want to be. Like, your parents always say, dream big, follow your dreams. This is a dream for me. Like, just living as me and being comfortable and, you know, living my life, getting everything I desired as me and not passion. You know, passion was a stepping stone. That's who I started out as, but that was not me. You know what I'm saying? So follow your dreams, push yourself, take that step, and get a support system.
I think the support system was a really good piece of advice, because 2 questions I remember from your very first appointment, your doctor asked was, do you have a support system? And I remember your doctor asking me, was I attracted to men?
Yeah, that was one thing that my doctor did ask for sure. She wanted to make sure that I really had a support system, because a lot of people in the transgender community don't have a support system at all, or whoever was, you know, supposed to be their support system left them. And then, you know, a lot of transgender people go and slip into deep depression because they don't have anybody there for them. Because once you start hormone replacement therapy, you go through so many different emotions. And, you know, one day you're up, one day you're down. And, you know, it'd be just that, you know, it'd be just your luck that you're down and your support system leaves you. And then you don't want to continue, or, you know, anything happens. So, you know, some people kill themselves because of it. And it's the saddest thing. Like, having a support system is everything. Like, throughout, like, even until, you know, forever.
Yeah.
Because this is otherwise you feel like, okay, I'm alone now. Now what? You know, but yeah, definitely a support system is one of the most important things. Do what makes you happy and have a support system 100%. Yeah, that's my advice.
That was all of my questions. Do you have anything else you want to add, or anything else?
I don't get too many like questions for real, because a lot of people, I don't know. A lot of people don't like to ask me questions. I think they're just afraid.
I think they may think it's rude, or
right. But I don't mind people asking me questions, but people really don't ask me questions, which is weird, because like a lot of people that I watch on YouTube or on Instagram and stuff, people ask them so many questions. They say random, you know, people, whether they, you know, they know or not, or like, you know, they find out like, oh, I want to know this, or blah blah blah. But yeah, I don't get too many questions. A lot of people ask my wife questions. Like, they'll ask, you know, how does she feel about it? Or some people ask if she feel like her sexual orientation changed, you know. But, or people will ask me, like, how do I think she feels about it? And as far as the sexual orientation part, my wife just likes people, you know. She just loves people. Like, she falls in love with the person and not the exterior. Exterior for her is a plus.
I think I'm weak. Alright, I guess that was the end of all of my questions. if we did not cover something that you all wanted to know, if we went over something a little too fast, something you all want clarification on, or if you all just have more questions, definitely let us know in the comments. I don't think we don't have an issue doing a part 2. Nope. Or, you know, and if you all want more sessions like this, more cocktails with Chris and Chelsea, won't be this lengthy, but let us know. We do apologize that this video was a little lengthy, but we did want to give y'all the information that we said that we would give to y'all in our intro. Yep. So just make sure you all are keeping up with us. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe.
Turn on your post notifications.
Turn on your post notifications so you all get the next video. Yep. That will be coming soon. We all want to make sure that you are keeping up because the journey continues.
Other than that, that's all I wanted to say. Peace. Alright, what's up, y'all? I'm back with another video. What's going on, everybody? My name is Chris. It's me, Chris. I'm back with another update. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy, Chris.
What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, Chris.
What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, Chris.
What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, Chris. What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, Chris. What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, Chris. I'm finally back with an update video for y'all. What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, Chris. I am finally back with an update. It's been a long time. I am 1 year and 6 months on testosterone.